Hey guys, this is Echo Soundworks, and you are checking out a first look video on ADSR. So in this video, we're going to be looking at a new Rompler made by Lethal Audio. They call it a synth, it's a Rompler, but we're going to check it out nonetheless. I've actually gotten a bunch of requests to do this because it's a brand new company, Lethal Audio is, and there's not a lot of like demo songs and stuff like that on their site. So first things first, I feel like I've done a lot of first look videos this month, but that's because a lot of cool new things have come out. So this is the third one, and I have a couple other tutorials coming up. If you guys are wondering why I'm doing so many first look videos, don't worry, still doing tips and tricks and sound design stuff. So I do want to also preface that I'm not making any money from Lethal Audio for this review. All that happened, or all that basically the exchange was, I contacted them because I got about 4 emails asking if I would look at Lethal Audio, and I saw some comments in the other first look videos saying, hey, are you going to do Lethal Audio Lethal and actually check it out? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to look into that. So I contacted them. They sent me a NFR copy of it, and I've been using it for about a week, dinking around with it, and now I'm sharing it with you guys. So first things first, what is Lethal? What is Lethal Audio? Lethal Audio is a new company. They made a Rompler that they're describing as a synth. And it's kind of the same thing that like Nexus does. This is a direct competitor to ReFX Nexus. If you guys don't know what a Rompler is, it's a little bit different from a sampler in that it doesn't have all the advanced features that a sampler has. Now, Lethal Audio probably has the advanced features on the back end when they're programming the sounds, but you don't get it. So it comes with a factory of a lot of sounds, around 3,000 presets or sounds, and it's about a 5 gigabyte library. And it retails for $199, and if you buy within the first, I think it's this first year, first 6 months after release, you get 12 free sound sets, and there'll be about 1 a month. So what is it like in terms of sound and where it's aimed after? The core library is heavily influenced and aimed towards EDM productions, and there's some really cool sounds in here. So the interface is great. I love the interface. I like it. I like the interface a lot more than Nexus, because I'm going to do a little bit of a comparison to Nexus. That's been around for about 10, 15 years, and it's an industry standard plugin. So the interface is great. I love the colors. I love how long the interface is. One thing that's hard about Nexus is how damn tiny that thing is. But this one looks good, and there's also some really good, really thought out features in the interface. You have your amp envelopes here. You can easily control the attack of a sound. Right, you can create LFOs here. Then you have a curve, velocity curve as well. It's really nice. You have a filter, and in the filter you have different types of filters. You have you can cycle through them or click the drop-down box. You have a low pass, high pass, band pass, notch, low shelf, high shelf, peak, all pass, which is really nice. So you can easily turn like plucks into, or leads into plucks. For instance, we could load up a trance lead. Okay, so we'll turn the cutoff down, we'll turn the amount up in the envelope. All right, let's turn on the low pass now, right? And there is the difference. Go over here and make it polyphonic instead of monophonic. See, it's really easy to dial that in. Again, if we turn this off, here's the sound. By default, you have an LFO that you can use into the filter. You can run it directly into the filter. Great for dubstep stuff, future bass. So there's really cool stuff you can do inside of that. You have a pitch envelope as well. You have a pitch LFO and curve, so you can do some cool effects, create lasers, do tons of stuff in there. You also have a noise generator, and in the noise you have white, pink, and blue. This is a really nice feature. Which I actually think is a really smart feature to have around. Now you also can make leads that aren't maybe unison. You can detune them and add unison, which is brilliant. You have vibrato, you have stereo expand, These other effects like drive, shine, chord, you can create different types of chords. You can do octaves, notes, fifth, 2 octaves, 3 octaves, fifths, sevenths, all that sort of stuff, which is really cool. You also have polyphonic or monophonic, glide, and then your main volume. Now, let's move over to these other tabs down here. This is where your main library is housed. Then you have an ARP page where you can make arpeggiated patterns. Right, you also have a transgate, which is pretty cool. You can also have, this is where your effects are housed. Now you can have up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different slots, and to get those to appear, you can just control click or right click, and they have reverb, delay, chorus, phaser, distortion, equalizer, and bit crusher. So everything here kind of plays into the idea of this is for bread and butter sounds, and that's kind of the whole idea. So let's go back to the library real quick. Let's find a trance lead again. Okay, let's make this polyphonic. And it's really easy to assign. For instance, my mod wheel right here, wheel, this is set to filter source. We can make it velocity sensitive. Or we can have it set to the mod wheel. So let's have, when I play this chord, look at some of the presets here. But the first thing I want to warn you about, if you do buy this, is it's freaking loud. First time I played a note, it hurt my ear. So I'm going to turn down my volume, and I suggest you do the same right now. And I'm going to turn off the little mastering chain that I have on my vocal to make me a little bit louder. And I'm going to play just the default preset. I'm going to play a chord. Right? It went up to 7 decibels. That is 7 decibels over unity. That is really freaking loud. So be careful with that. The default preset is loud. It actually killed my ear a little bit the first time I played it. So I'm going to turn this down by about 13 decibels. And it's still incredibly loud. So you see I'm working with the default preset at negative 23 decibels. Right? So it's a really loud synth. So beware of that. All right, let's go to the core library. Core library is broken up into categories. You have bass, bass stabs, guitar leads, live instruments, things like bells, tropic, trumpet. Now this is heavily influenced towards EDM. You're not going to get like a lot of like classical instruments and that sort of stuff with the live instruments, but you are going to get things that are great for tropical house and chill music. You have pads, choirs, that sort of stuff, percussions, drums, pianos, keys, pluck, strings, synth, vox, and then just basic waveforms, which is interesting that they gave you that option. So let's run through some of the bass. So you have bass leads. And to get a preset to load, you just double click. So these are like your top basses. Right? And then you have under that commercial bass. Then you have a dubstep type stuff. Okay, I'm not going to go through all these presets because there's just too many. Electro bass, fretless bass. Let's check that one out. Okay, you've got bass stabs, live bass. Let's try this one. That's actually an upright bass. That's a slap bass. So this is my other gripe with Lethal, is that the preset names are really stupid. And I actually was looking at their Facebook post, and a few people have brought this up, being like, why are the presets named like Live Bass 01, Live Bass 005? And they defended it, and I don't agree with that, and it's not a deal breaker by any means. But if I'm working in a studio, and if their whole aim is to kind of make a rompler and sounds that works for your session with minimal fuss, a huge part of that is being able to find that sound quickly. And let's say I was working with an artist and they wanted to use an upright bass or a slap bass. Okay, I need to load up a library, either a Contact, Lethal, Nexus, something, maybe Trillion, and I need to find a slap bass guitar. Well, here, unless it says slap bass, which it doesn't anywhere, there's no slap bass. It's under the live bass. I'd have to just go through all the live basses and hope, kind of Hail Mary hope that I'm going to find the slap. This one's kind of slappy. Right? Bass 6 is really cool, actually. So I'm gonna favor that. So you can favorite your. You can actually save them into user presets, which is really cool. So if you really like one or you tweak it, you can change it. But yeah, the preset names are a little weird. And they said in the response on Facebook. I mean, these are different octaves, but they said in the response that they didn't want to just give it like meaningless names, like something random. And I do that on my presets sometimes with my libraries. And then other times I will name it if it's like a kind of a typical sound that like a bread and it sounded so New York bread and butter sound. I will actually make sure that it's named aptly so people who are looking for that can find it. So for instance, let's look at Nexus real quick because these guys are direct competitors. So the core library for Nexus, just as a comparison, I think it comes with almost 14 gigabytes or 13 gigabytes of sounds. A lot of the sounds in Lethal would be a little bit more current with current EDM because like Tropical House didn't even exist, for instance, back when Nexus released. So you got a lot of good sounds for more current EDM productions. But if we look at let's go to their bass. All right, we have Bare Square, Basic Pulse, Basic Saw. We have, let's keep going down. Crushed bass, so I'm assuming this would have Bit Crusher. Dance bass, Dark Roll bass, that's for rolling, right? Orc Blast, so if I play this, it's probably going to have an orchestral element. Yeah, it has an orc hit. So their response to their potential customer base was a little bit interesting to me that they were like, well, we don't want to do the naming system with meaningless names. If I loaded this up, it's called Deep Saw. I'm assuming this is going to be a deep sounding saw sound. Right? Or detuned bass is going to be detuned. So there's that element of like, okay, it's easy to find those different sounds. So let's go jump back into Lethal now. So again, great for the whole EDM thing. Let's try another one. Let's look at one of the electric guitars now. It's really cool sounding electric. So there are some great, for EDM, there's some great sounds in here in the electric guitars, the guitar pack. All right, let's go to the leads now. Again, with the leads, same naming. Now we have bounce lead, we have EDM lead. I mean, that's so ambiguous. Is this a sine? Is it a square? Is it a saw? Let's try it out real quick. Let's double click. And it's really nice that you can change it from poly to mono or mono to poly. So let's turn down the cutoff. So that's a cool sound. Let's get the cutoff up a little bit. Let's do an envelope cutoff. It's a really cool sound. Some of the EDM leads are great. But again, it'd be nice if they actually said like saw versus, because this could be used as a trance lead, but then there are the trance leads down here. All right, so there's some, and a really cool feature you got with this is you can do unison. And really easy vibrato control, drive, shine, chord, which is an interesting transpose things. You can do fifths, all that sort of stuff. So there are some, like I said at the beginning of this video, there are some great features in Lethal that I really like. Some of the sounds are really good. Let's go to the piano and keys real quick. Let's go to keyboard 001. All right, so you got keyboards. All right, some of the organs were pretty cool. I won't go through all these. There's too many sounds to go through. Let's try one of the pianos, though. Let's go through piano 1 right now. Great EDM piano. Let's do piano 2. So you can see there's not a whole lot of variation with some of these. It's not like they're coming from a boatload of really unique samples. They're just different effects, different pitches, different reverbs built in. Like piano 1, piano 8, I don't hear a difference. There's piano 1, here's piano 8. So they're the same, they just have some different settings probably in the actual synth. So just because it says 3,000 presets doesn't mean that you're actually getting 3,000 unique samples. And that would be for really any library, because some might be EQ different. They might be, centered on sounding a certain way for a certain genre. All right, then you have your dance pianos, piano strings. So let's go to the plucks. The plucks are pretty cool. Now the plucks will work well in Lethal because you have that filter envelope. Like this is a great sounding pluck. So yeah, there's tons of good plucks in Lethal actually. Lead plucks. All right, then the strings, again, the naming on this makes it hard. Is this a cello? Is it a violin? Is it a ensemble? You don't know until you play it. I actually do like some of the string sounds in Lethal. They're quite nice. Definitely for EDM type stuff. Then you have synths. You can see progressive house big room is definitely geared for the EDM crowd. Then you have vocal stabs. These are actually pretty cool. All right, so just to sum this up, you have your controls over here like amp envelopes, filter envelopes, LFOs, pitch envelope, pitch LFO. And then over here you have things like noise, which is really nice that you can add noise to any sound. Unison, vibrato, stereo expand, which is nice, width and delay, drive, shine, chord. You have a lot of cool stuff here. You have polyglide and then your main control. So really easy to use. There are some great sounds in here. This is definitely the most review-oriented video I've ever done, and I don't like doing reviews. I'm uncomfortable, but Lethal Audio asked for it, so I thought I would do more of a review. And it's a cool plugin. I think if you guys are on the fence about Nexus and you want a Rompler type sound, the free expansions make it a nice, have a nice, gives it a nice option going forward. But Nexus and Lethal, even though they are in the same world, Nexus is it's because it's been out for 15 years. Obviously, they have that whole process refined. It's a little bit of a different beast. The default library is bigger. Each patch is a little bit bigger. That's one other thing I wanted to touch on. It might come with 3,000 sounds, but it does. If it's about 5 gigabytes, it was a little under 5 gigabytes. That would come down to an average of like 1.67 megabytes, if I'm doing my math right, per preset on average. And so if you're looking for hyper-realistic pianos and hyper-realistic electric guitars, I don't know if Lethal would be exactly the tool you're looking for. Lethal fits a very specific tool set where it's going to have some just good bread and butter sounds for certain types of instruments. But if you're looking for a bass guitar or a string with a bunch of articulations and hyper-realism, Contact or UVI is going to be the way that you'd want to go. But for typical sounds in EDM, like your plucks, your basses, that sort of stuff, this is a great option if you're going for that Rompler-based system or setup. So if I was actually giving it like I hate doing this, if I was actually giving it like a star review, I would give it like a near 4 stars, because the interface is great, the controls are great. My only gripe is really that the sounds, some of them are very similar, and then the names, like, let's say I'm looking for on this vocal, let's say I want a certain vowel, right? Let's say I want like an E or an O or an A. It doesn't have that. I have to actually play it. So that's the only thing that makes it a little bit hard to use. But overall, I'd say it's a good library of sounds. For $199, it's definitely cheaper, and you don't need an E license or an iLock or anything to use it. Definitely a cheaper alternative to ReFX Nexus. If you guys have any questions or comments, let me know below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I am Echo Soundworks. If you haven't subscribed to ADSR, definitely do that. Thank you for watching, guys. I will see you next time.